Give me 1 second, folks. Got to call my son. Yeah, but a BlurCon tomorrow. even though it starts Friday. But I always go up there a day earlier, soak up some of the festivities, get to know a few people. You know, if you're in the Virginia area by Reagan International Airport, you know, come to the Hyatt, come see your boy. You know, hit me up on Facebook Messenger so we can do a meet and drink. Woo! Let's get the likes up, people. Let's get the shares. Let's get the donations. Shout out to Art of Itmore for the Cash App. Shout out to Electrician 480. Woo! Before we got started, shout out to you, man. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The God of War is among you. Everybody can relax. Come to the war room and seek this knowledge. Come. Put it on the table. Come to the war room. Damn good cigars. So if anybody's near that area for BlairCon, come see your boy. I'm taking my son and his best friend. Woo! It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be a good time. This is with the skin tight britches, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Woo! sometimes we gotta wonder in this world, but I'm gonna take you there in a minute. As I said with that grid that I created earlier today, what is the difference? On one hand, you have officers unloading 90 rounds, 60 hitting the young man. You have another jackass who thought it was copacetic to unleash hell on a July 4th parade, but he gets taken alive. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take a man with an advanced degree to see something's not right. Something's afoot. I'm driving down BlairCon. Best thing about being in Maryland, Virginia is like only that part of Virginia is only like an hour away. We gotta look into this and see the faulty in this action. One, you cannot shoot anybody in the back unless they pose an imminent, immediate threat, such as trying to gain an advantage, such as shooting or aiming a gun at another person or the officer, or about to take it hostage. None of that occurred, especially if you found a gun in the seat. Sorry. The neighbor said in a white affluent area. On top of that, he terrorized white folks and killed innocent children. Facts. Assalamu alaikum to all the Muslim brothers. Shalom to all the Hebrews. Greetings to all the Christians and to everybody else. Woo! I think that honestly, we need to listen to both of these subject matters because something doesn't add up right. We're going to look at the Jalen Walker into, we're going to listen to it anyway. First, then we're going to go into the terroristic jackass.
21 shots fired. That vehicle just had a shot come out of its door.
Akron, Ohio, in the early hours of last Monday. Multiple police units are pursuing a driver who's failed to stop for a routine being stopped. Wearing a ski mask, he runs towards a car park unarmed. An officer tries to taser him before several opened fire. The pictures are too graphic to show, but he falls to the ground and police continue to fire. In total, more than 60 rounds into Jalen. A handgun and loaded magazine was subsequently found in Jalen's car. The city's police say this flash of light from the driver's window proves that he shot at them first.
What was going to be a routine traffic stop, which would probably result either in a warning or a citation being issued, turned into a pursuit. And the shot is fired. That changes the nature of the contact.
We are done. Hundreds of residents took to the streets in protest. The mayor of the city has asked them to be patient while investigations are ongoing. For now, the 7 white officers and 1 black officer involved in the shooting have been put on paid administrative leave. Jalen's family's legal team have condemned the police, though, for delays in taking those officers' statements.
We are done dying like this, in this manner, with this fate. Nobody should ever suffer the fate that Jalen Walker did. Jalen was shot more times than I can count. And that is beyond troubling.
Once again, the excessive nature of US policing is under the spotlight, and yet another African-American family is left in mourning. Vincent McAvinney, 5 News.
Okay. Now I'm going to play the video of what someone took while they were watching the parade from their apartment window. I'm going to play that again for those who didn't hear it. I'm going to play that again. For those who didn't hear the shots rang out from his rifle.
It's the day the United States marks independence, a day for celebrating freedom. But 4th of July festivities have been overshadowed by yet another mass shooting. 6 people have been killed and dozens injured. A young sniper perched on a rooftop, firing rounds into a packed parade near Chicago.
Marching band drums, drowned out by rounds of rapid fire. The holiday parade had just begun when it was thrown into panic. Frantic families running for their lives. fear quickly spread through the affluent suburb of Highland Park outside Chicago. Parents pushing children out of the way. As bullets rained from a rooftop, a sniper targeting spectators.
Started shooting again, and we ran behind the building, and I put my son in a dumpster.
Probably heard 50 rounds in total, at least. I saw people shot and killed around me.
Among those killed, grandfather Nicholas Toledo. Sitting in his walker next to his family, he was shot 3 times. Dozens of others were rushed to hospital, some as young as 8. This child reunited with his grandparents after he was rescued by a stranger. He'd been found wandering, bloodied and alone. The gunman managed to escape, leaving behind a high-powered rifle. Residents told to shelter in place for a desperate 8-hour manhunt. The suspect, 22-year-old Robert Cremo III, was finally tracked down in North Chicago, arrested at a traffic stop. An aspiring rapper, some of his videos are disturbing, one involving a heavily armed shooter at a school. His family is well known in the area. His father, once running for mayor.
There's been no warning signs. He's a real quiet kid. He keeps everything to himself. I'm heartbroken. I mean, I'm deeply heartbroken, and I'll be heartbroken for the rest of my life.
From the president, a concession.
In recent days, there's been reason to think that this country is moving backward, that freedom is being reduced. We remain in an ongoing battle for the soul of America.
Mass panic, too, at Philadelphia's July 4 party. 2 police officers shot, and the sound of fireworks in Orlando sparked chaos in the crowd. A day marking a glorious victory, the nation once again marred by loss.
It is devastating that a celebration of America was ripped apart by our uniquely American plague.
It just makes me feel like we're not safe anymore.
US correspondent Amelia Adams is in Highland Park near Chicago. Amelia, what do we know about the suspect's motive?
Look, the motive's still unclear, Peter. Police here saying the gunman appears to have randomly targeted his victims. Another young man with access to a rifle. Another horrendous waste of life. There have now been 306 mass shootings in this country so far this year. President Biden today again vowing to keep up the fight on gun reform, but when parents are too scared to bring killed, it is feeling less and less like the land of the free.
Even though I take the grain of salt to a bunch of countries that don't have firearms, they also have a lot of violence in their countries as well, like London. Yeah, you're not allowed to have a gun in England, but you will get hacked to death by machetes and knives and decapitated. They don't tell you that shit, though. But what's the difference? And I'm thinking to myself, there's always a critical failure when it comes to shit like this on both sides. If I'm going to have a parade anywhere, especially during this time of the inadequacies of white boys, and they better not talk about some fucking mental illness. I swear, don't talk about that shit. If he has some type of mental illness, guess what? Get rid of him. He's a danger to society. Get rid of him. And let's say if Jalen Walker did shoot at the police, okay? Here's going to come the time when it's going to be like, okay, was he an imminent threat? At that moment, he got out the car. Now, I usually don't speak until investigations are done, but if it is true, because I need to see more evidence of casings, I need to see more than a blurry picture from a street light that he shot, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. But it's amazing how somebody can jump out the car and run, not facing the police, and get shot. 60 out of 90 rounds being fired. But this motherfucker can dress in drag, get on top of a roof somehow, and start letting off rounds. People always say, should we ban AR-15s? No. Because if you put an AR-15 in my hand and I would have saw the motherfucker, I would have picked him off before he even started. Cool failure. Why don't you have snipers and police officers on the roofs of these places? Because one, when you're in an affluent white area, oh, this never happens. It only happens in the urban centers. See, this is what happens to America when they made the black man the boogeyman instead of telling the absolute fucking truth that the black man has actually been your fucking superhero. Yes, he was in drag. He disguised himself, AB, as a goddamn woman. I don't know why it won't let me click on you, but he disguised himself as a woman to gain access to a roof somehow. But yet, you're telling me that if I would have took my black ass anywhere near that city, I'd have been a suspect. People always say, well, it's not racial. Well, you got some explaining to do to prove why it's not. Well, it's not what it seems. Then what the hell is it? One guy you get who shot multiple people. Another guy, he's just running, gun in the car. Could he possibly be threatening? Sup, Enigma? And what makes it funny is that for the longest time, people won't admit that there's a certain bias, that a black man's more threatening than a white man. But that was the biggest okie doke and the biggest lie being told since the devil convinced people he didn't exist. I don't know too many black men who dropped a nuke on a country in anger. I don't know too many black men with gun manufacturing plants. Now, there are some gun ranges that have black guys. There's some gun ranges that have white guys. Hell, they even got Asian and Hispanic motherfuckers. But the problem is not the targets or the posters. The problem is the ideology. See, it's the ideology that you always fight. You get so many police officers who's hyped up on adrenaline, not taking command of the situation, and then you get an episode of sympathetic fire from one officer shooting, other officers join in. In 90 rounds. So that means you motherfuckers kept shooting him once he fell to the ground. The threat was already eliminated, if there was one. Now, I'm going to tell you, out of the last 3 active shooters, 2 of them were taken into custody. And I'm going to say this for parents, right? I'm going to say this to the parents. Parents, your children do not have privacy. You need to go in their room sometimes and check what the fuck they doing. You need to check their dressers. You need to check whatever shit, because a lot of times we have these incidents that come out. What's up, Snowman? And it's because, oh, he just kept to himself. No, motherfucker, you need to talk to me. What do you think about the world? What's on your mind? But yet, in a certain community, these kids are given full autonomy, and then you get this wanted destruction. People look at me funny when some days I carry my rifle in my trunk, some days with me when I'm traveling. You're a damn fool. Any there's a large gathering, my spidey senses tingle. Torian Rain, what's up, Torian? Meanwhile, Lance Storr out of Kentucky had a whole shootout with cops, killing 3 of them, and a canine taken alive. How? How? I would have lit his fucking ass up. You shoot at me, it's carte blanche. This is the reason why I am not a fucking governor or mayor or county executive, because I would have had an order. As soon as you fucking have an active shooter coming with a gun in hand, light his ass up. If not, if you're not brave enough to do it, give me the fucking rifle and the body armor. I'll do it my fucking self. But something's gotta fucking give. Something's gotta give. And I'm gonna say this to black people, man. If you're not getting your permit to carry or not carrying, you're a damn fool. You're a damn fool. And I'm sorry. I wish they would actually tell the truth and tell us that the real boogeyman is the pale man. Is it all white people? No. But you don't see black people just randomly going out there mass shooting. You don't. We're not suffering from inadequacy. We're not mad because the world, my grandfather could get a job and a woman in a house. My father did. But what about me? When the tables have turned and now you're on a much more even playing field, you get upset. I'm sorry. Guys like these make white people look terrible. How do you get away from having a gun battle with the police and survive the incident? But then you got one guy running, he gets lit up 90 times. Excuse me, 60 out of 90. So basically, 2/3 of the goddamn bullets went in his ass. How? Somebody please explain this to me. Because even my white friends are just shaking their heads and saying, you know what? We got some crazy motherfuckers in our race. How? You killed fucking children, motherfucker. I'm going to tell you once again, to everybody listening to the sound of my fucking voice, go get trained. Go get your firearms. The life you save may be your own. And it's amazing how you got politicians trying to say, well, we're trying to fight the good fight. Hold on. Sorry about that. But here's the fact of the matter is that where's places like the NRA? There's places like, you know, USCCW, whatever the hell it's called. Where are these places? Where are these places? Where are all these places speaking up about this? See, we had to look at the fundamental issues. Is that black men have always been the threat. They have always been the scapegoat, and they've always been the bane of America's existence. Black men are like the red-haired physical embodiment of America's greatest sins and failures. There's no benefit of the doubt, no age of adolescence, aka boys will be boys, for black men. Even though I was on, Real Gun Guy, or Regular Gun Guy with, his show, and one guy called him an adolescent. He's not a, stop, I wish black people stop calling people in their fucking 20s adolescents. You're a fucking adult at 18. If you go on there, you'll see a picture of my father in the Marine Corps at 17, 18 years old. This is the reason why we get disrespected. And we believe this bullshit. And I'm daring one motherfucker to come up here You could bring all the Tatum-ites or whatever fucking coon shit you want. Riddle me this, Batman. How does a motherfucker running from the police get gunned down 60 times, but a motherfucker who shoots babies and grandfathers still live? But you're gonna have people like Brandon Tatum. Oh, see, he shot. Where's the casing? You're talking about a flash. That could be a reflection. Let's see tangible proof. I don't do investigations off of hearsay. Maybe. No, we need tangible evidence. Now, even though he's deceased, what about the gun residue that's on his hand? They should be bagged up. They should be tested immediately. But you know, nobody wants to say shit. It's too much money in cooning. Okay, I'm going to make an even bigger statement. Where's all them motherfuckers right now who said racism isn't our biggest fucking threat? I dare you to come. Go get them. I got none but love for you, Prophet of Thought, but come up here. Where's Supreme King Coon? Please tell me that racism is not our biggest threat. When we have infinite, damn near infinite examples that it is. I'm going to tell you, man, I've been in this space for 6 years. 7 if you count being with the snowman, Brian Snow. Shout out to him. I've been talking about men's rights before it was fucking popular. Along with Brian Snow and Matt Shanahan. 2 black guys and a white guy talking about men's rights. So I've been in the game a long time. I'm not a rookie for none of this shit. But I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for the one dumb motherfucker. And don't forget to salute my man, Snowman, with the PayPal. Trying to get back on his feet. We help our brothers out. Woo! You're right, Namer. First of all, what's a black man without his paranoia intact? Of course. Salute your service. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that racism isn't the biggest fucking hurdle that we still have not conquered. Let's think about this. We conquered the Spanish flu. We conquered polio. We conquered smallpox. We damn near conquered COVID. But yet, we have yet to conquer racism. Think about that. If racism wasn't our biggest threat, then why the fuck do we have civil rights? Why do we have to invoke civil rights? You got so many black men who were told, like Snowman, well, you might as well get a casket. Never given hope till he had to get a second or third opinion. You're telling me running from the police is more likely to get you killed than shooting motherfuckers from a rooftop sniper position. I'm trying not to go down my tinfoil hat because I do think some of these guys are plants just so they can have something to say about gun control. Some of these people are plants. It is not above a country to sacrifice its own to get its way. I'm just going to keep it as that. That's my tinfoil hat moment. It is not above a country to sacrifice their own people to get their way. But constantly, I get told that I'm crying about racism. But we have two perfect examples that it exists. What is their sympathy? And it's funny because they know exactly what the fuck you're going to do. You're going to march. You're going to beg and plead. They're going to give you a little hush money to get the fuck away. If those officers are lying, they deserve to be not only criminally charged, civilly charged, but thrown in jail and terminated. Because I need evidence to say he was a clear and imminent threat. There has to be more evidence, people. I'm not just going to go by a video with a flash, alleged flash. There is going to have to be, like the FBI, the state's going to have to come in and investigate this shit. Yeah, done. He was allowed to cross-dress and slip under the radar. Proving to you that white women are the most protected creatures in this country. But nobody took heed on the graphically violent material he was putting out and said, boy, you need to go seek some help. You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if he did. Trey said, I wonder how many of these racism deniers are going to be singing the same song, the same tune if and when the SCOTUS rolls back affirmative action. Good question. It's just not here, bro, Charles. I saw the Ukrainian citizens before the Africans that live there. How come everybody can't be evacuated once they get there? And there's so many times the reason still a white supremacist, but Hispanic. Even the guy that Joker years ago, who opened fire in a goddamn movie theater, why is he still living? Why is he? If his name was Tukey Williams, he would have been gone. I don't get it. There's nothing on God's green earth you can explain to me that makes fucking sense. Sense about this. America has yet to confront the evil that white America has put forth upon the world. They could have stamped out this disease called racism if they would have kept the fucking Union Army in the South clipping the wings of racism. Because you don't give a damn, you certainly don't give a fuck. You allow. And then you have an American president, Woodrow Wilson, who watches Birth of a Nation in the fucking White House and congratulating them like they're honorable men. Yes. Yes, they do. They both have the same. The barrel of that gun is your fucking responsibility, whether it hits somebody or not. It's the same criteria. See, I think it's funny that guys like Tatum have 1 million subscribers because he sings the songs of what people want to be when they want to be excused from their fuckery and failure. I don't get the accolades of a Brandon Tatum, even though I've done more work than him. But I'll get this. I'll get the ire, the fucking vitriol. Oh, you cried about racism, motherfucker! I don't cry about shit unless it was one of my boys going. But yet, I don't see none of these fucking detractors over here, and I'm daring you. Racism doesn't exist. Why don't you live in a lily white state? Matter of fact, go down the south in Mississippi, Arkansas, and go live with your fucking white wife and see if racism still exists. As if the influence of hip hop and the proximity to black people. See, this is what happens when you get a no-neck, pencil-neck geek like that motherfucker who shot them people during that parade. He's not tough enough. He's not rough enough. So what does he do? He gets into a high position, shoot a bunch of people, elderly, children, and everything in between, and thinks that he's tough. Don't forget to share this, people. Like, share, subscribe, donate. What's up, the art teacher extraordinaire, Art New Style TV? Yeah, it's 50% black, but guess what? There's parts of Mississippi blacks don't go to. Wait a minute, you said you're here. Aren't you the same idiot who said black women are our fucking issue? You're a dumbass. But yet, there's nothing racial about it, right? You're going to have an idiot just like that. An idiot just like that condoning shit like this. You're probably the same motherfucker that said, oh, George Floyd deserved it. Y'all probably the same idiots who said, well, you know, this is what the officer was taught. No fucking police department in their fucking right mind will teach you to put a knee on somebody's neck, especially for almost 10 minutes. Yet, agents of fucking chaos coming over to our channels, just to start some dumb shit. Nigga, you can never bring fire to me. Can't bring fire to an inferno. Go ahead, spew your shit.
Storm Crow is whom you have summoned, so Storm Crow is here.
Yeah, you got a crow, all right. Don't even just tell me what kind of bullshit you on tonight.
Oh, I'm not on any bullshit at all, bro. I'm gonna just be 100% honest with you. I mean, you said you wanted, wanted anybody's gonna. What was it that you said? Someone that could, oh yeah. What's the biggest problem aside from racism that affects black folk? Wasn't that what you said?
No, you got it all wrong.
I do believe I heard a clip where you asked that question and you wanted us to come up.
No. First of all, I said the biggest problem that's facing black men is racism. And yes, I'm asking y'all to.
No, it's not. I said it to you last time. It's not. Never was. Not? Because
never was.
Let's just be honest with you. Okay.
So wait a minute. It never was at no point.
No, not really.
Not any point in the United States history.
No.
Why?
Because it's more color-coded classism. No. Not really.
Not any point in the United States history.
No.
Why?
Yeah. Because it's more color-coded class. Hold on. Let me make sure I got myself. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So here's the thing about it here, bro.
I want kind of racism. So miscegenation laws, the fact that they made laws that white men cannot work for black men and to keep black men out of power, that wasn't anything to their race?
Nope. Because they just wanted to protect their own lineage and their own, the same way that say black men would want to do it with them if they were the situation was reversed. That's all it is basically just man shit, bro. That's all it is.
Wait a minute. Right? So if they were white guys, it'd be cool, right? So what's the main reasoning why they made laws?
Nobody said. First off, you're putting something in here that I didn't say. I didn't say it was cool. I just said it's man shit. That's all I said. Don't just insert things in there just because it's hurting your feelings.
No, listen.
I get it. You're in your feelings about it. I understand, bro.
So you're saying
I'm saying
you're in your feelings about it. So you're gonna say that race didn't play a part. You're trying to say that race didn't play a part in that.
No, not really. Man shit.
Okay, let's give the definition of racism real quick because you said race did not play a part. Racism, prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or
So,
marginalized. So you're saying that white people didn't do that to black people?
There was some here, but in regards with slavery,
no.
In regards with slavery,
But that's literally the definition.
In regards with slavery, at that particular point, they weren't even worried about your ass. The reason why is because you were property. That's why.
Wait. Hold on. So they
were property.
Slaves based on their race.
Nigga, they just got everybody, whoever was coming in there. And on most cases, unfortunately, it was niggas that got caught up in it. Oh, fucking well. It wasn't enslaving your ass because your ass was black. They enslaved your ass because your ass was there, dog. Because there was a lot of other people who got enslaved along with black folks, like whites.
Right? So, okay.
Like whites. Whites were enslaved as well. You want to try to change up the name?
Wait, whites were enslaved in America?
Yes, they were.
You're not gonna hold on.
You want to call indentured servitude? You want to change the name up? I get it, but that's what it was.
Hold on. Don't overtalk me. One, indentured servitude is a whole different creature than antebellum slavery. Let's stop the bullshit there. Two, when we
it isn't. You want to make it that way, but it's not. It isn't. Because they were still in the same boat with you. It's a matter, and the matter of fact is,
shut up while I'm talking.
See, now you don't. So then you want the smoke, but you don't really want it. Then, so which one is it then?
You're trying to overtalk me.
You didn't even let me get a chance to even say nothing. Because when I'm trying to,
you didn't say anything for God's sake. You didn't even let Charles talk.
But Charles ain't really saying nothing that's worth a damn.
Neither have you.
See, I'm going to take you down for a second. First of all, indentured servitude, there's an end to that service. By the way, historically, you live with the family, and the family has to treat you very, very conveniently. And after your servitude, they must find you not only housing, but also give you monetary sets after that debt was cleared. Antebellum slavery, you were born into the slavery. They even made it that anything that comes out of a black woman's womb was a slave, even if she was impregnated by the goddamn slave master.
Charles, let me read the definition of indentured servitude. I'm doing this on purpose, by the way. Indentured servants were men and women who signed a contract known as an indentured or a covenant by which they agreed to work for a certain number of years in exchange for transportation to Virginia. And once they arrive, food, clothing, and shelter, I think it says, would be provided or whatever. Yeah.
Pretty much what I said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add them back.
So now you do realize that many of the females that you love so much actually won their freedom through production of slaves, right?
No.
That's what the master teacher said. Did he not?
Here's the problem, right?
Did not the master teacher say that in one of his videos? I actually have one of them right here.
Here's the problem, right?
So wait, you're not even going to acknowledge that, huh? You're going to just sweep that under the rug?
No, we're gonna talk. You want to keep trying to voice with me? I'll kick you out permanently.
You know what? You can go right on ahead and do that then, bro. Because let's be honest with you, you just loved you.
Oh, damn.
Just like that. And we're back to sanity. Right? Look, bro, Charles. And this is the thing with people like this. The way he said the women you love so much, I told you, these Negroes think black women are our biggest enemy and not white motherfuckers, like not white racist people. They like the way he said that, I was like, oh, I know where you're coming from. I know what angle, nigga. Give it up, bro. She overlooked you in high school. Let it go.
Like, see,
she didn't want you.
He's overlooking his.
Mr. Z, thank you for taking me that Oh, sorry. Hang on, Charles. Mr. Z, forget. Oh wait, hang on. I forgot something. First of all.
See, you gotta understand something, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, it's these Negroes who think over talking makes you sound more intelligent. No. I'm gonna let you keep talking your stupid shit. Especially when you got a dumbass who's saying, yo, racism never affected black men. Black women had the gates open for them. Black women were always more educated than black men. Hell,
that was by design.
90% of the fucking slaves, hell, 95% of the slaves who came to this fucking country were black men. And oh yeah, by the way, shout out to Angry Man Valdez, who did an excellent live today talking about that bullshit movie with Viola Davis, The Woman King. And
God.
And you know that fucking region right there, currently known as Benin, was one of the biggest slave fucking traders in the fucking world.
The Kingdom of Dahomey.
When you had Dahomey, the Kingdom of Dahomey, it took the British.
Dahomey.
I'm gonna have to pull one out for Dahomey.
They get particular about the pronunciation. My apologies.
We don't give a fuck. We're American. Keep going.
We're American. Fuck it. They don't give a fuck about it.
We purposely mispronounce words. We purposely mispronounce words and names from other places just to show how much we don't give a fuck.
Okay, I get this point. Anyway, sorry.
But here's the point. You got motherfuckers. It took the British fucking Navy to do a fucking embargo against them and bombard their fucking, to keep them from trying to sell slaves. Okay? So stop it. Stop it. And then you got an idiot up here who tried to say racism never affected black men. Really?
Racism never affected black men? My black ass.
Well, you know what was interesting about what he said? So he was like, it was color-coded classism. That's what racism is, you fucking retard. Color-coded classism. Like, literally, it is a class structure based off of color.
You mean this retard actually said? You mean to tell me this retard actually said? What was the color-coded classism? Really?
And then said it's not racism. That's not literally that's the definition of racism. But he said it's not.
He said it's not.
He was just up here.
I thought I ran into idiots on my morning show. Good Lord.
There's a reason why I let the dumbass talk, because there are idiots who actually believe this.
Yep.
And he thought he had a very good talking point when I told him, I know what the difference between antebellum slavery, which means your property. You were not treated as property, as fucking indentured servitude. You remember the story of Joseph in the Bible?
Yep.
That was indentured servitude.
There was.
There is no fucking way that
hell, Jacob as well.
That antebellum
Jacob had was indentured, remember?
Huh?
Jacob.
No, I'm sorry.
Jacob, remember he was indentured 2 years for 7 years for Leah, then 7 years for Rachel?
Yeah.
Rebecca, one of them.
And you got to think about it. Basically, the chancellor of fucking Egypt.
Yeah, that was Joseph.
Antebellum slavery, he would have been property.
Yeah, that was Joseph.
Yeah, that was Joseph. I'm sorry. So
no, you had it right the first time. Go ahead.
So you telling me, right? I got a contract where you got to feed me, clothe me, house me, and usually you're housed with the family. You weren't housed with the family during antebellum slavery.
Nope.
You were barely clothed. You ate the worst of the worst. You literally were property. The slave master could kill you, and there was nothing under the Constitution that kept him from doing it. And he would not.
And he could do it at a moment's notice.
And get money for the insurance company.
Exactly. Yep. Which is one of the biggest rackets they actually pulled, by the way, was to kill their slave and get the money. You're worth more dead than alive. In some cases. But you have these idiots who say slavery. Y'all take it over. I'm done talking for a second.
Bro, but this goes, look, once again, like,
all
okay,
I gotta
look,
say
think of,
on my end, you're worth more dead than alive. I told the story. All I got to say is Duke University, Cancer Center.
I mean, look at where this guy came from. Charles is talking about the disparity in the way these two situations were handled by the police.
Correct.
And this man comes up to do what?
Put his
That's
foot
not
in
a
his
mental
mouth.
illness
Dark
as a
shit.
black person to come into a room full of other black people and pretty much say what? I mean, what was his whole argument?
Well, it was like Charles said. He was going to let him talk and give him enough rope to hang himself, because that's all he was doing. He was hanging himself to the point where all Charles had to do was push a button and get rid of him. That's it.
These people are lost, man.
Because he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He pulled a definition out of his ass and basically repeated what Charles
I don't
said.
do some real history and know that the first person to die for the freedom of America was black.
Crispus Attucks.
Let me ask you all, how long have y'all been listening to me?
Me for like 3 years now, something
Charles,
like
you
that.
and I have been at the hip for 7 years.
Yeah, 7. How many times have I mentioned Crispus Attucks?
Any conversation we have about Black Power, America, dying for your country,
Let's
guns,
see.
just
How many
about
times? Wait a minute. How many times I can?
Hold on for a second.
From
Why these dumb motherfuckers come here to say something that I say damn near every stream, especially when I'm talking about black people in their military service. You fucking moron.
I mean,
don't talk to me about fucking fighting for America's freedom when my nephew's the 6th generation to fucking join the military.
I mean,
shut the fuck
Charles,
up.
you and I have been joined at the hip. You and I have been joined at the hip for 7 years.
Yeah.
How many times have you not said Crispus Attucks, whether you jumped on a stream with me or we had a conversation off the air? Come on.
It's funny because sometimes I've learned to be patient in my young/old age.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing Charles Singer always tells me, never interrupt the idiot making a mistake.
Yep. I remember those words because I got those from my dad and my grandpa. I remember those words.
Okay.
But is he making a mistake though, Charles? But is he making a mistake? This brother wasn't making no mistake. But he came in to disrupt. This is something psychological. People like this, I think they can't accept black people's position in this society, forced position in this society. And so wherever they go, they always have to be like, well, isn't it our fault? Well, don't we have the power to, don't we have the agency to, right? And then also, like I said before, these people have such an issue with black women that everything comes back to, that bitch ain't shit though. These dudes are weird, bro.
You know
They're
what?
weirdos.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to Be Easy, Namer, then Electrician and Mel.
Okay. All right. Okay. Am I good to go?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was just saying, I think it was Mr. Z that said it. Yeah, all of this is intentional. If you talking about a current event and somehow it got back to slavery and indentured servitude, and these are the main ones who keep saying, stop acting like victims, stop bringing up slavery, and then somehow all of y'all arguments go back to slavery, you know what I mean? And nothing about current events, and then we get in this rabbit holes arguing about stuff, saying semantics, color-coded separation versus racism, trying to use euphemisms for racism. These idiotic discussions, like we really can't even be entertaining these anymore. It's like we had a critical mass, and then any foolish person that's believing that indentured servitude, which was willingly, right? They were willingly doing that, and they had a status above slaves. So how is that the same, And it's a litany of things that you can go on where they couldn't even be sold the actual indentured servant couldn't be sold. You can sell their contracts, but not them. They weren't considered property. Like their contracts were property, like trading an NBA player. You know, they don't own the player, they own the contract. So it's so many other differences, just like those disingenuine, you know, basically attempted logical fallacies is not even worth dismantling. And yeah, I'll let somebody else cook.
What I was going to say, what I was, first of all, salute to y'all on the panel and everybody
What's going
in
on,
the live
bro?
chat. What's going on, y'all?
Woo.
Look, I'm just going to say this real quick. First of all, I think this fuck boy has read too much of Thomas Sowell's books. First thing first. I'm going to just say that first thing first, okay? Because he came in as an agitator. If you notice, Charles, how we say when he's talking about yo black ass, I'm like, well, wait a minute, bruh. What, your ass ain't black either?
I was thinking
this this shit has something involved with you. So the thing is, to me, I mean, he's just a white man's nigga. I'm just gonna be honest with you. He just think white is right, okay? And like I said, you know, I think my man had read too many of Thomas Sowell's books, all right. And the thing is, he hasn't dove in deep enough to understand what the brother was just talking about here recently about the contract of slavery. We were property. I mean, they could do whatever the hell they wanted to do with us. They could castrate us as men. They could rape us as men. They could make babies with black women, sell the child off. Okay, and you know, a mulatto child, because that's what happened to my so many great grandfathers. Okay, the plantation owner impregnated a woman and it sold off one of so many great grandfathers, and that's what happened. And see, the thing about it is that he's not looking at the whole picture in the context of it. And you know, it just, you know, when I heard him start talking, he just want to come with these fiery points. I'm like, look at this nigga, man. Nigga, you pathetic, bro. You pathetic. You want to be white. Okay, so go be like Sammy Sosa, bleach your skin, you know what I'm saying, and go on about your business, man. Because you know you just coming up here agitate,
looking like a Pepto-Bismol bottle.
You know,
Yeah,
pretty much.
you gotta throw a baseball reference at a baseball rap like me, man. I love you for that.
Hold on, babe.
Watch this.
Hold on, man.
Indentured servitude.
According to Wikipedia, indentured servitude is a form of labor in which a person is contracted to work without salary for a specific number of years.
They may enter voluntarily for eventual compensation or debt repayment. It may be imposed as a judgmental punishment. So, really, you got to think 4 to 7 years. See, that's the key. Another key thing. 4 to 7 years was the average of indentured servitude. You were never born into indentured servitude. You were born into slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And see, when you get these idiots and their talking points, sometimes you let an idiot talk. Sometimes you have to. As much as it pains my ears, I'm like, okay, at least you know this motherfucker. If you were running, as Art Newstyle would say, if he's up, he could come on up, please. As Art Newstyle said, if I was running from the Klan, I wouldn't be in that motherfucker's house. But if you don't, but continue.
Well, Charles, when you think about it,
electrician.
Well, Charles, when you think about it, so electrician, you done?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm done, bro. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Obrigado. Anyway, the thing is like this, fellas, like you got these antagonists, and the way they operate is something people forget. Is like, Mr. Z, you might remember when I told you about about feelings over facts and facts over feelings being two sides of the same coin. Z?
Yeah.
Z?
No, I can hear you. Go ahead. My bad. I was trying to press the button. I pressed the right button. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be texting drive, boo. Anyway, like I said about, you know, feelings over facts and facts over feelings being two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with this individual, he's going to try to put out cherry pick facts and try to antagonize you and some shit like that. But when you try to talk with these people, first of all, they threw logic out the window. And when they talk, they're going to be using semantics, circle conversations, so much like you think you were in a circle jerk with these guys is unwittingly. They're gonna be doing word salad that makes you want to hate vegetarians. It's just pointless conversations. You cannot engage with them. That's why I like the movie War Games. They said the only winning move is not to play. So when some of these cats come in, just gotta block them. They're not here to start. They're just here to disrupt and to antagonize, just like any troll. That's why we can't have these conversations with a lot of people. I've seen it with my own people sometimes, and that's fucked up.
It's really messed up, man.
Where do you have to be psychologically to hear what we're speaking about? A person that pretty much got away with mass shooting so far, right? And then another person that was shot at how many times? 90 shot at 90 times, hit 60 times, right? So for you to hear that as a Black person and then come up to debate what? The merits of racism? Where are you psychologically for that to be the thing that you want to defend? These people are special, bro.
And another thing too, I don't know if y'all seen the dog whistles on all the mainstream media. All they have been calling them, they wouldn't call him a racist. They wouldn't call him anything. But you know what they kept calling him? A rapper. A rapper. He's a rapper. He's a rapper. And they've already been painting the narrative with the Uvalde shooter and other people saying it's rap and violent video games that's driving these kids to this. Have you ever heard that defense with any kids from Chicago or Oakland or St. Louis?
Of course, what are they gonna say? They're not gonna say, "Oh, guess what? We weren't bamming our fucking white terrorist ass sons for all this mass shooting, and so now everybody's trying to get in on it." They're not gonna say that. They're not gonna say our spoiled brat ass fucking white sons think it's cool to walk up in elementary schools and slaughter innocent 7-year-olds and 11-year-olds. They're never gonna say that. They're never gonna say they're raising spoiled brats in these homes, both the white girls and the white boys. Have y'all ever been around a 21-year-old white kid recently? Ain't nothing more spoiled than that.
They're more pathetic than ever because if you look at a lot of these guys look like if you blow on them, they'll knock to the ground. They're cowards. They're a bunch of, I'm going to say it again.
Entitled brats, bro.
They're a bunch of cowards first.
I've met a few up here.
And what makes this hilarious, is that you're going to use semantics to try to, you will never condemn. This is the reason why I look at guys like Tatum. I actually subscribe to him because you know what? Tatum is the gift that keeps on giving. You know why? Because he's not going to, why are they killing children? You know why they're killing children? Because they're inadequate. They don't like themselves. These are the same motherfuckers that go out of their way to say that, well, the black man is violent, we got to do more things. No. Like I've said it before about the shooter in Uvalde. He was just as big as a white supremacist as the motherfucking Buffalo. Regardless of the fact that he's Hispanic. You had radical Latino talk about how fucking racist Latinos can be. You had them.
Tell me about it.
You have them. They will. I've been in the military with some of them. They will look at fucking white culture like it's the end all be all just to be accepted.
A lot of them identify as white.
Exactly.
Shout out to Angry Man earlier for that show because when that movie come out, there's gonna be a lot of topics to talk about with that movie, man. I mean, damn.
Because
I just want to say this too.
Man, the homie.
I mean, like, y'all know I live in South Florida, so y'all know I grew up with white Cubans, and ain't nobody more white aspirational than a goddamn white Cuban. White Cubans worship at the altar of whiteness.
God,
bro, and he's not even Latino. He's not even Spanish speaking. But
he just
Ron DeSantis, even though he's not, and this is the thing, right? Ron DeSantis might as well be Cuban, because if y'all want to know what the average Cuban acts like and speaks like and moves like in South Florida, just look at Ron DeSantis. That is them. Even though he's not one of them, that is them, bro. That's why I'm telling y'all. Y'all let that dude get in the White House. Y'all think, for those of y'all that were anti-Trump or whatever, even those of you that might have even been pro-Trump, DeSantis is not that dude, bro. All right. Y'all will see. Y'all let him get in the White House. Even y'all Trump supporters are gonna be like, oh,
Wait, hold
shit.
on. You think? Hey, Z.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. Do you think white supremacists would actually back a fool like that to the White House?
Yes.
I think you're dealing with a
Give me
different
the
type of white person where you're dealing with the type of, well, I said different. No, it's the same, but the type of people that will cut their face to spite their nose. Yes, they will vote in
cut
DeSantis.
the nose by the
Yeah, I mean,
it's like oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, white Norwegians and white Americans are two different ball games, Namer. White Norwegians might be a little racist, but white Americans, boy, white Americans will nuke a goddamn major city to keep their power, bro. And when I mean like the city they live in, they'll nuke that shit to keep their power. You dealing with a different type of monster, bro. I try to tell everybody, like, whenever I have conversations with different people from other countries, I'm like, y'all ain't seen white until you come to America. Because I know, like, white Brits are racist. I could understand that, white Canadians and white Spaniards and white French, but you ain't white Australians. I get it. But you ain't seen white racists until you come to America.
The
and you
racism
see,
standard is set here.
yeah, exactly. And
I mean, let me paint a
go.
picture for those of you who don't understand what he's talking about. Hitler got his eugenics program from us.
Yep. South of Africa got their whole entire model from us too.
I mean, really, think about it. Hitler was like, God damn, y'all better Nazis than us.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people forget that you literally have a woman who was the former first lady and former Secretary of State, whose hero was Margaret Sanger, who said it's her divine mission to get rid of unwanted black babies.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that called the Negro Project, Charles? Wasn't that called the Negro Project with Margaret Sanger?
Wait a minute. Didn't Biden?
You know what?
Who did Biden give his eulogy for? Who did Biden give a eulogy for?
Bader Ginsburg, she signed off on it. Just like most
facts. That's facts.
But
right?
she, Biden did a eulogy for one of the most racist men in American history ever.
I'm saying, look, at the end of the day, this is the issue that we're having, right? This particular form of anti-blackness, pro-whiteness is global, right? And you see it with what I call the aspiring white class. Aspiring white class is the majority of Latinos. Fuck what they tell you. All the other interlopers like East and South Asians, fuck what they tell you. Right? Darker white people like white Latinos who, for all intents and purposes, they are white. They're just not WASP, right? They're not white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. So all those people, you ever hear the wannabe thug is even more dangerous than the actual thug, right? The wannabe gangster is even worse than the actual gangster. That's all these aspiring white people. So that's why you see some of these people engaging in the same mass murder type crap as the white boys, because essentially, mentally, psychologically, they are them. Yep. This is how they show their bona fides, right? So, go ahead.
Continue what we're saying. Continue.
In the social
no, that's all.
But who's next?
No, I'm saying in the social hierarchy, they look, we'll bow down and bend the knee to white supremacy, but as long as we is above the Negroes, then, we'll do whatever to sabotage them. So people sometimes they fixate on white supremacy, but it's more anti-blackness because you get hit with all these other groups too, who a lot of them identify as white, and the ones that don't, they have just as much vitriol, if not more, towards blacks, so it's all good if you getting nails from them and orange chicken and all this stuff, but if you even try to impede slightly You see, start if black women stop saying, you know what, we done, we only buying black. See if they just casually just accept that, right, and say, yeah, finally the blacks are empowering themselves. See if it's more black landscaping businesses and you start getting the contracts. If the Latinos are just gonna say, yeah, mi amigo, right? Like, come on now, we gotta just stop fixating on. I'm not saying anyone on this panel, but sometimes people say white supremacy and they focus just on the whites and they got us sucked up into this black and brown coalition. But I'm in the
Bullshit.
Bay Area. There's Latinos around here. They're not talking about black and brown. They say Hispanic and Latino to specifically exclude. We the blacks be out there dancing and stepping and fetching, saying black and brown, and they use the plight of of the atrocities that happen to us to get agenda passed. And when they get tangibles, the Democrats say, hey, y'all said black and brown, we helped out the brown. Now we don't have enough money for the blacks. The budget.
Hold on for a second. Hold on for a
By
second.
the way, Latino
Okay.
women are damn hot.
Salmon, who are you? Salmon,
Yeah.
who are you?
I'm a simple Muslim.
Okay. What do you
Is
have on?
Yeah.
What do you have on the topic?
Actually, I don't have anything for the topic. I just came here to chit chat.
Okay, you're new here, so if you don't have anything on the topic, I have to bid you adieu.
It's okay, man.
I'm back.
Alrighty, we're back. So what I was gonna say.
Off topic, man. After watching that video right there with Black Panther, I have to say this: Marvel's going to make the biggest mistake ever is by not recasting for T'Challa.
Wait, before we go off on that, because Mel just went to another state with the conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm just because watching it, it's like, damn. I know you probably might have seen the images of for the sequel coming out, and I'm like, I'm not too hyped up to see the sequel. I want to see T'Challa.
Before we go for and I just want to say this on the,
I'm sorry to take the topic.
So I'm working on a. No, you good. Because we could probably go to that eventually anyway tonight. But on the.
But you know what?
I'm working on a video right now on this.
Yeah. When Angry Man talking about that movie too, you know, my mind also too. When black women see that movie coming out, it's like they gonna turn to Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct now to fight a nigga like crazy, man. Because
they're done. They're done. That's not even. I'm working.
Feel like though. I mean,
what they're dealing with now is just being psychologically an ego stroke to death, right? So that's all they're getting now. That's all that the dominant society is really pushing towards them. It's just psychologically diddling their egos. So, and I'm working on something right now. So a book recently came out, kind of reiterating what Dataclysm, the book written by Christian Rudder about online dating and people's preferences and who they click on. So, and this is kind of what the brother was saying before me, which is it not only is it anti-blackness in particular, who's pushing the anti-blackness from what we can see? The women. Women. Not just white women, but yeah, and so what the lady doctorate, and she has a doctorate in the right degrees, sociology and demography, the shit that you need to actually write a book about fucking online dating, right? So what she saw was that pretty much all women, obviously, so white women, Latina women, Asian women, black women, all respond to white men before they even respond to the men of their own race. But men don't actually respond to white women before they respond to the women of their race. So it's all the women at the end of the day. They worship at the altar of white men. So in other words, while they're railing against patriarchy, what we have to understand as black men is that they're actually railing against patriarchy that's not white. all women want white patriarchy. They're all trying to get with the white dude. And like, even because it was a white woman that was speaking about this, and she was even like, yo, this shit look kind of ugly, right? And it was all the people that were commenting on this were all doctorates, right? It was a mixed woman. She looked Latina, but she's mixed, and a white woman. And they were speaking like this. So these people, these women are the ones who's raising their children to pretty much be white psychologically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even their boys, they raise them to pretty much be white psychologically. Now imagine what happens when you realize you can't move like the white boys do as a Latino or as an Asian, right? So like that's another thing that we're having an issue with. And this is probably another reason why a lot of these dudes are so frustrated, right? This is where you get the Elliot Rodgers. I understand he had other psychological issues, but this is where you get some of that, because you had an Asian mom, right, and a white dad, a white dad that probably raised you on some elitist shit, and an Asian mom, and you knew what she was about, right? And so when you realize,
don't get me started on that one.
Say again?
No, I said don't get me started on that one.
I mean, I
Because
remember
have a friend who's
engaging.
Eurasian, and you talked about this.
Yeah, well,
we
I
talked about
remember
it,
having a conversation with I remember having a conversation with an Asian dude online years ago. This had to be like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and he was mixed white and Asian, and he said straight up to me in the comments, if I could find them shits, I would screenshot them, but that was years ago, and he straight up said, "My mom worship white men. My Asian mom worships white men," right?
They do.
And so you want to know where you getting this anti-blackness? Say it again.
First choice for Asian women to marry is always white men.
Oh yeah. What? Here's the kick.
Third or second or third.
Here's the kick. First men for all women is white men. That's the secret first, and it's all because we have not had a real conversation, and this is going to the topic at hand. We have not had a real conversation about what white supremacy in particular did on this planet over the past 500 years, and how that the class structure based on color. So the brother, when he was saying that earlier, he was right, but he was calling it everything but racism. With the class structure based on color, which means pro-white, anti-black, what did that do to everyone psychologically on the planet over the past 500 years, right? And we
poisoned them, yeah.
So when we have that conversation, we usually talk about the men and their jealousy of white men, but in actuality, what we're finding more and more is it's the women that's jealous of white women. It's the women of color that's jealous of white women. They want Becky's position.
And they try to train us.
Yeah, you should see the level of racism that white women have. Sorry, go ahead, Mel. My bad.
No, I was saying they trying to train us to follow their hate and stuff. You know, that's why they raise the way we raise. That's why we simp and bodyguards and try to fight for rights by their side most of the time. But if you kind of think about it, do black men really hate white men the way they do and stuff? I mean, like, think about that point of view, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, not to say some of us don't, but do, but but
yo, no, you kind of mumbling today. You okay?
Huh? What?
You kind of mumbling a bit. You all right?
No, I ain't mumbling. What?
I don't know. It sounds like you're mumbling. I couldn't hear you right.
I can hear him loud and clear.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, it's me. My bad.
But yeah, like, you know, we gotta
at least I own up when I fucked up.
Yeah, I think everything is all on the corners to our black women, how we should be following them so much. Because, like, yo, there's one thing I'll use this as an example. Like, you know, when I tell dudes, if you're out on a date with your woman and you get stopped by the police, first thing you do is make sure you shut your woman up, because she's the one that's always amp up the situation where it is. And look at one always want to split out racial split cast down because he's racist black. It usually be a black woman and stuff saying that. And amp up the situation with us instead of, you know, let us handle it. If you feel a certain way, just sit back, shut up, videotape, and just answer questions yes or no. That's it. But most likely, black men will handle a situation. Here's my idea, my license, boom, check it, boom, be out and going. That's it. But it usually be done to amp up the situation more than what it is. Like, for some reasons, like, I don't know if you're trying to set us up to get killed or you just want men to fight because you get off on that. Like,
Mr. Z.
Yeah, real quick, Naaman. Let me give Mel something to think about.
Yeah, go.
One of the issues, Mel, real quick, Naaman.
Yeah.
I think the issue is that they don't have to deal with the ultimate consequence. See, the ultimate consequence is death, right? And because women intrinsically know, right, or almost innately know that if something could go down, it's gonna be your ass, not her. Most likely, it ain't gonna be her. It's gonna be you. So she gets to talk, but you the one who got to pay the cost for her fucking mouth. Right, so
Yeah.
that's why she could be popping off at the mouth. Plus, most women have never been in a fucking fight, so they don't actually. Yeah, they have a fear of physical violence, right? That's innate in them, but they haven't been in any. They don't know what it's like to get punched in the face, bro. They don't know what that's like. They don't know none of that shit. So of course she talking. She don't know what that shit is. Go ahead.
You know what, Ms. Z, if you kind of realize, if you feel like the most ratchetest female that, do you really see her getting in the fights as much like you think you do? Like, most of the time she's like I'm hearing a damn scratch voice, like she's scratching chalk off by her mouth, and I'm like, looking at her like, yo, honestly, I don't think you really be in the fight. Like, you just talk shit, you know what I mean? Threats and shit, that's it. And you know you have a bunch of senseless bodyguards, but it could be two things that, you know what I'm saying, that backfire on you. I convince those simps that, you know what, they're using you and they're turning against you, or I could take their asses out and shit like that and see how you gonna handle it. You know,
And
like,
shout out to Creation Muse for the $20 super chat. Whoa! I'm gonna say this. See,
okay,
men always have to be careful. Vito Corleone said it best. Women can be careless, children can be careless, but men no.
They can't make mistakes.
And it's funny because I had to tell a friend of mine, you know, I don't give a shit that you lesbian, right? If you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. I love you, you love me, I love you. Best mistaken is that if you were in front of me and I would have, you know, and there's certain disrespect men just don't take. Every man has a switch. It might be his culture, it might be his religion, it might be something you say or do. It might be his children, it might be his woman. But there's something that will make that man turn from a gentle giant to a tiger, a lion, a fucking king of the beast, and do nothing but rip your fucking head from your shoulders. And women have not experienced the full fury of what happens when you're truly not protected. This is what happens when we're in a land of lawlessness. You ever notice when there's a civil unrest, women are the most docile?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Quiet as a church mouse. Yep.
Quiet as a church mouse because she know the police ain't coming for you. They got bigger fish to fry. They be like, oh, you know, I never got it because there's so many motherfuckers who were committing all kinds of heinous shit, you know, during the riots. But women, they knew when to shut the fuck up. Women aren't stupid, and we should stop playing them as such. Because honestly, if we actually held women accountable for every fucking decision they made, which I told people I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold you to every fucking bad decision you make. No, you should not be rewarded after having 4 kids with a man. You should be ostracized. You should be made to suffer to take care of each and every one of them kids by your goddamn self. Well, that's not fair. Life ain't fair. You made a choice. Deal with it. Deal with it.
You know what I would ask a lot of these. Ask a lot of girls. Say take a lot of your ex-girlfriends, that the ones that jumped in your face, and everything, try to intimidate you and everything. If y'all was stuck on an island for the rest of your lives, only 2 human beings, this is where we really gonna put a test to her. Okay, now it's just me and you. You acting rah. You keep pushing me to the limit. I'm gonna smack the shit out of you right now.
But
that's gonna be life and death. It's gonna be me or you. So let's exactly like.
Let's tell the truth, Mel. Let's tell the truth, Mel. When there's incidents like this, even with Fernando Castillo, she wasn't shot, was she?
And he was in the
Ryan Reynolds, you
passenger
mean?
seat.
No.
Think about it.
I mean,
Nobody
you should
else
be
is
glad
going.
that her child wasn't even shot.
Think about it. How many
That was
times?
actually pretty good shooting to avoid not shooting her.
And then on top of that, we're gonna have more fucking idiots come up on these panels trying to say, well, there's no racism. Wait a minute. If I'm a legal carrier of a firearm through either constitutional carry or permit, why the fuck would you feel threatened if I'm a law-abiding citizen when all you got to do is say, okay, sir, just keep your hands on the dashboard, don't make any sudden moves.
Thank you.
And I'm like this, but your first reaction is to shoot. Oh, he was reaching for his gun. No. You got a bunch of these nervous, never been around black folk.
Mhm.
And it's funny how
He told him that he had a gun too.
guys like Nathan Daly, guys like fucking Brandon Tatum, who know what it is. Why do y'all think that man, whatever his fucking name is, could kill 3 cops? Because y'all feel sorry for the motherfuckers. He's not the boogeyman, but he's a clear and present danger to life and limb right in front of you. But you still feel mercy for that motherfucker. But if that was a black man, he wouldn't have survived that incident.
But Charles, it goes back to what the title of your video was. What's the difference? The young brother who got shot 60 times, psychologically to a lot of white police officers, we are the number one threat. You have to understand the criminologists, the criminologists that came up with all these statistics and everything, false statistics, mind you, that we see that white feminists, black feminists use, is that the black man is the boogeyman. And if that is going in to people who, whether it be in the police department, it doesn't matter. You are the enemy. You are a straight up 100% a threat, a threat to where it's like you just said. These people don't interact with black people. They don't know nothing about black people. But the one thing they know about black people is that black men are the boogeyman, and we have to take him down. He's an intimate threat. We are looked at as the intimate threat, and we know that's not the case. We really know. Look, let's go back to Buffalo shoot. Okay, this dude comes in, shoots up at a grocery store full of black people. Then to come find out he has a black girlfriend. Okay, and the thing, yeah, he had a black girlfriend. His girlfriend was black.
And he had a note that said nigger on the barrel.
Oh yeah, on his gun. Yeah, his gun did.
Okay,
here's your reparations.
Again, but see, here's the thing though. Since the era after slavery, since the era of the Reconstruction, when we were coming in and being successful judges, congressmen, we were an intimate threat to the white man's way of life.
Mm-hmm.
He put it in his mind. You had there's a doctor who was pro-slave and all that. I think he was from England. He moved over here to the States. But anyway, no, he's from here. But anyway, he come up with all this talking about how black men were beating their wives up in the north. Oh, they'll never do that to black women down in the south because they have white protection. Okay, and the thing about it is, what's so unfortunate about it is that we just have a lot of black women. We are the enemy. We are a threat, and they believe these tropes because remember, just like this fuckboy who just came on, he thinks white is right, and it's unfortunately for a lot of our black women, they think white is right. Now this kid that just went into Highland Park, Illinois, doing the shooting, did he get gunned down? No, he didn't get gunned down. He's gonna be looked at as he's mentally disturbed. Same thing that happened to my man in Colorado who shut up the movie theater. He's mentally disturbed. Okay, but a brother who takes off running, he gets shot 90 times. 11-year-old kid in Cleveland, he gets shot pulling out a fake pistol. I mean,
within 2
he shouldn't
seconds.
pull out. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So we are just an imminent threat. And that's the lies they have been telling that it's been baked in to our American society. And going back to the Asians, the Cubans, the white Cubans that said, oh, I can trace my lineage to Spain and all of that. Oh, think about it. They had slaves. And how do they treat them? They treat them they treat them worse on Cuba. They was worse. They was worse in Cuba. They was worse in Brazil. Man, a Brazilian slave didn't live past 7 to 8 years. Okay. And so the thing is,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact. That's a fact, bro. That's a fact.
I mean, think about what happened in electrician. Sorry to interrupt, but remember what happened to Afro Latinos in Argentina. Imagine what happened to
they were sent to war. They were slaughtered.
They were slaughtered.
No. The ones in Brazil were sent to war against Paraguay and everything. Yeah, but afterwards, I mean, the ones in Argentina, many of them, after slavery was ended, a lot of them were forced into destitution. And when you had disease outbreaks like cholera and whatnot, or typhus, they were purposely neglected because it was used as a form of culling them. Those who survived were forced to head northward to other countries. In fact, it's the racism is so apparent in Argentina that an Argentine diplomat we met his Brazilian counterpart looking at something about how can you still have all these blacks in your country? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, and the one thing I'll say to electrician, I think when you see some of these mass shooting things, we have to look at some of these things sometimes backwards, right? So we're speaking about the racism, the anti-blackness, the white supremacy. And I said this on Art New Style channel the other night. When we're talking about, let's say, the Karens, right? Entitled ass white women sticking their nose in black people's business and usually try to flex their white female power by calling the cops on us. We have to think, how do black women see that? And many black women, what they see is that social power that they wish they had, right? So they wish they had the type of power to see something they deem as an eyesore and then call the cops and use that type of feminine energy and feminine power to as a proxy to get you regulated, to get you dealt with, right? And she don't even got to do anything but call 911. Now, talking about these shooters, I think that a lot of women, especially academics, they're playing this kind of chess game, at least so they can think of it as a chess game where they're trying to show black means black men, right? I'm not a black man. I'm a woman of color or a black woman, LGBTQ, name whatever other suffix they want to add to it, right? Or whatever asterisk they want to add to it. And in that way, they distance themselves from just black, because just black means straight black man, right? And so that, to me, it's not that they don't know. It's a very conscious decision. It's a very conscious decision to distance yourself from black men, from blackness, and then potentially and hopefully get picked up by some white dude and have your mixed kids, and then your mixed kids get picked up by another white person, and in 2-3 generations, your family look like the Jackson family, just a bunch of great granddad used to be black ass people, right?
A lot of octave rules.
It gets
a lot of octave
worse.
rules.
Like
They want protection from the black men that they're distanced themselves from.
Oh yeah,
right?
that part.
They want
Yeah,
to
that's
hop
true.
the fence, but still cry to the mountaintop that black women are so unprotected, even though this contingent of men is just supposed to be completely discarded, disparaged because they're worthless. But the same worthless group of men is supposed to build, protect, and maintain.
You're supposed to walk her to the White House. That's what she really means. You're supposed to hold her hand and say, all right, dear, I see you trying to exit the black community. Let me walk you over to Mass's house so you can get fucked and have these mixed babies, right? Like that's when they say unprotected, it really is a cry for help from white society. So it serves two purposes. It serves to shame black men for not making black women white women, but it also serves to kind of siren call white men to come and save them from themselves, from being black women, right? And is it working? Neither way. Go ahead, Charles.
It's kind of funny, right? Because
Nobody gives a fuck about black boys until it's your sons, and then sometimes maybe. You'll let your sons be a failure. You won't push them to be great. But then, and only then, when there's money to be made off your ass, another thing I found disturbing about the Philando Castile, and yes, Dar, they are coming in when it's predictable, of course. As long as they get my likes up, I don't give a shit. Don't forget to bring some donations, Cash App and Super Chat, please. You know, the cigars don't buy themselves, people don't buy
What
themselves.
Dr. Umar said? Donations. Donations.
He also said, hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App.
Cash App. Don't forget. You know, I'm gonna put my my GoFundMe in there because we just finished with my first Padawan going through special police training. So at 19, we put him through his firearms training and special police training, which some of the courses I actually taught, which I'm gonna get instructor credit for. Think about it. That's one black male who have the powers of arrest already at 19. Where's everybody
Man,
else
you got
at?
to do a stream about all of these Supreme Court laws. They changing rapidly.
Oh yeah, but
And
here's
I'm
the
out here in Cali, bro. So they trying to they overturning. You know, they try to restrict. Well, they've restricted us to 10 rounds, but they saying that stuff is unconstitutional. You know.
yeah. That it is. Think about it. How many guys in the manosphere alone do you see actually putting their money where the mouth is? Every time you donate to the GoFundMe, I put it on the training for myself and him and others. So it's funny. It takes a black man to look out for other black men. Nobody sees your case. Nobody. Hell, me and my son and his best friend are going to BlurredCon. Like, we're gonna have fun, real good fun. And what makes it interesting is that nobody sees your humanity. They only see what you can do. You're only useful. You're conditional. You're supposed to love me unconditional, while your love is supposed to be a condition, if I like you or not.
Charles, I'm gonna try to make it to BlurCon next year. I'm still on probation at one of the jobs, so you're gonna have to catch me next year.
Oh yeah,
I can't put in vacation like that yet.
I'm gonna take pictures and videos. I'm gonna try to do a live stream. Oh my God, it's a lot of ass in class, boy. A lot of ass.
By the way, my girl is still like, are y'all gonna do a Black Manosphere meetup?
Oh yeah, next year BlurredCon. That'll be cool.
Hey,
we said hi,
Hey, if y'all come to Cali, I got you.
Hey, I'm gonna hold you to that. It's funny because when you look at the situation about race, I knew I was gonna get a detractor. See, people don't know when they're falling into the trap. and it's like, dude, you know I'm gonna get some likes and some fucking viewership off your dumbass. I might get some donations off of this. Oh man, stuck at work. Oh man, that'll be. Hey, next year, man, we're gonna plan out. I'm gonna talk to the creators there, and be like, we're gonna do a Black Manosphere meetup. I'm gonna have a table. Be like, what are we doing? We're gonna meet and drink. Y'all actually gonna drink? Well, we're over 21, nigga. Shit.
Alexa, play Lauryn Hill "Lost Ones" for Charles, please.
You know, I gotta put on one for the homie for this movie. Oh man, and it's crazy because
speaking of the homie,
it's crazy.
Charles, I gotta bring this up.
Hold on for 1 second. I said it's crazy since I see art there, and it's hilarious because one, art is Switzerland, and you see a lot of these guys with the coon talk, as we say, the coon, the Coonanese or whatever you want to call it. They'll always come to.
He said coon porn yesterday. I damn near died.
Coon porn. He got a. Oh my goodness, coon porn. That is classic. And it's funny. You'll come to his channel, but you won't go to Umar Johnson's. You won't go to Suit and Seti. Yeah, Cyrus Suit and Seti. You won't go to none of those pro-black places and spread that fucking shit. You know why? Because a lot of people are cowards. I know I said it. There's a bunch of fucking cowards in this place. All right, see you later, electrician. Good having you up here. Good conversation. And I'm like, you would rather tell a lie just for the possibility of whiteness. You know, it used to be the possibility of sex. Shout out to Adley Roger Carey, man.
Jeff
But
Brown
now
said the off pussy chance. I thought it was hysterical.
the off pussy chance. And it's funny that now it's for the possibility of being loved by whites. See, as soon as you speak up against something they don't like, boom, you're gone. That's why you don't see Brandon Tatum talk about those 31 fucking white supremacists. If he talks about this shit, the live, because you already know he already talked about the fucking shooting of I forget was Mr. Walker. He already talked about that and said, see. I'm like, look, stop being the toilet paper or the baby wipe for white people shit.
Hysterical.
Stop. There's some things you gotta call motherfuckers out. Why haven't you condoned, or why haven't you given us the ability to protect ourselves against these fuckboys? Why haven't you done that? If you truly think that black people are Americans, why haven't you given us the ability to defend ourselves? You know why? Because a lot of you secretly condone this shit. Some of you outright condone this shit.
That part.
Some of you just outright condone this shit. And see, when you talk up for black men, you already know. I know I'm probably, if I get to 10,000 one day, that's a fucking miracle. Subscribers. That is a fucking miracle. But yet, if I would have switched up my shit and be on some super coon shit, like Homeboy earlier, well, I would probably go 10,000 will just be within a week.
Hey, that's where the big buck's at. If you decide to sell your soul.
Oh, we got a new word for that. That's called Coonanomics. Economics.
Bars. I'm still in that, Charles. You even say it first. I said it first. There you go. Coonanomics. That shit's fire.
Call it Coonanomics. That's all it is Coonanomics. And it's funny.
So isn't that what you're doing your thesis on? Coonanomics?
Yeah. Shout out to the master teacher. He said, keep preaching.
Yeah, he's going to be Dr. Charles Faulkner.
Dr. Charles Faulkner giving his dissertation of Coonanomics.
You see, all you got to do is sell your soul to either the political left or the political right and use all of their talking points. And when they fund you, voila, Coonanomics.
See, that's why a motherfucker like me is the atomic bomb to the coon world. You can't say you're more American than me because I'm a war vet. I was a police officer. Hell, I got my own security firm where I'm putting black men to work. I'm putting them through training and work. Hell, how about that? You can't say that I'm not conservative. Motherfucker, my son lives with me. I don't give a fuck if we're in a cardboard box. My son lives with me. You can't get any more conservative than raising your kid. You can't get any more conservative than serving your country. See, conservatism actually starts with service to the community. Having fundamental fucking ideologies that says family first. But if you notice, a lot of these so-called conservatives are family last. And it's crazy that I've noticed all these so-called conservatives, where's your military service? You couldn't be a conservative without military service.
They have none and none of their offspring have none, but they want to push your kid to serve.
Exactly. You know what? I'd rather have 50 fucking lions than 50,000 sheep any day of the week. You know, Nino said, you've done well, Charles Faulkner. You have your day ones always. I'd rather have 3K than 7K more to get along. You goddamn right. The community.
We love you too on this.
I need somebody to put my name and next to it, PhD in Coonanomics.
Charles Faulkner. Welcome to Professor Charles Faulkner's Coonanomics 101 here at the University of Maryland. Hope you make sure you're in the right class.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Hey, you should do. Hey, you should do a segment like that where you pick out a different coon and do like a Coonanomics breakdown.
Do Jesse Lee Peterson first because he's the hot one right now.
I'm gonna do the Coonanomics 101. Brandon Tatum.
Brandon Tatum first episode, Jesse Lee the second episode. Bring BGS in so he could do one on Thomas Sowell the third episode.
Oh my God!
I hope BGS will be able to keep it together. I never see BGS get worked up as much as I see when he talk about Thomas Sowell. That's the one person BGS cannot stand.
Oh no, the thing is, BGS, if he tries to do one of Thomas Sowell about Coonanomics, he's probably just gonna leave. He's gonna walk away from the computer with a 6-pack ad, knowing how hard he's gonna be laughing throughout the whole shit. He can't keep it together like that.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna have a hard time. He's gonna laugh so hard he might shit on himself.
You know, it's gonna be Coonanomics 101.
You know, it's a good laugh when you laugh so hard you might mess yourself up like that.
You know, I'm going for my doctorate for Coonanomics and Coona studies. See, Thomas Sowell or Sowell, whatever the fuck he called himself.
I think it's Soul. I say Sowell, but it's Soul. I think it's Thomas Sowell.
We got.
He must have seen it so well for this kid.
He said
hey, Smoke, come on up. If we get Smoke, yo. Wait, that's Hey, hold on. Wait. Charles, hold on. Let me get the converter for a minute. I want to see how much is that. That's Emirati dirhams he donated, fool.
Oh yeah, he's a United Emirates. Oh my God, he said hate on Coonanomics all you want. I'm gonna spend all my spook coin.
Oh, get up there, man. You've been totally missed.
Oh,
come on up, man.
Come on, please come up, Captain Jack. God damn it, this is fire. Oh man.
Hey, tell him he gotta spend his coon coin on a coon coins. You heard it here first. Tell him to spend his coon coins in the Middle East.
He said spook coin.
Spook coins.
Oh my goodness.
How much was it again? How much did he donate?
I think it was like 36.
How much did he donate?
Yeah, it was 36.99. Yeah.
36.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay, 36 dirhams, 99 halalas. That's $10.07.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm just like, first class.
Art said Thomas Sowell out.
Thomas Sowell out. Oh man.
Yeah, like I said, he's so well out earlier. How about some credit, motherfucker?
Fake ass Carlton Banks if Carlton Banks was old.
I swear to God, this house niggerism is
hysterical. Nigga, when you said house niggerism, I thought you was gonna say house music. Which, by the way, there's a whole lot of house music that was produced and created by black people, but that's a different conversation.
But it's funny.
Mr. B, I will start playing Tom Jones. You keep fucking with me like this.
Oh God.
I will do the Carlton dance.
Oh God. I'm just looking at this shit, and it's hilarious because, and this is the reason why black men, especially in the manosphere, you talk with your wallet. You get people that you send out. And the Art News style pinpointed this shit. Share this shit to your friends. Share this to people who really need to hear an actual guy who put boots on ground, not only in Baghdad, but also in Baltimore. You got to have the counter narrative against the Tatums and others, the ABLs and shit like that. Because one, they're going to be like, well, weren't you an officer? Didn't you see crime? Well, nigga, you would have crime too if you didn't have opportunity. How many times have you took money out of your educational system? How many times have you were actually invested into black people? You won't even give black men jobs, and it's costing you like what, $50 billion every month or 6 months, whatever it is. You're that hell bent to fucking put a hole in the goddamn ship, even though you're gonna drown with us, just so we can't get it. If 85% of your fucking, if 85% of your fucking inventions came from the hands of black folks, wouldn't you invest into them to get you the fuck out of your fucking bondage?
Nope, not at all. I'd rather sink.
And you're gonna do a good job at this because Brazil, China, Iran, Argentina, Russia are trying to form up like Voltron. Okay? And think about it. If they get a hold of like fucking what's the one? Is it Argentina with the oil? Or
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Think about it.
Who they sanctioned and demonized and tried to do a military coup.
Yeah, they try to put Guaido in there instead of Maduro.
Guaido.
And here it is.
Try to overthrow Maduro.
See how it fucked us in less than 5 years? 5 to 8.
Biden is begging Venezuela for oil now.
You could have, if you would have, even when Obama was president, if he would have got fucking Venezuela on our side, I would be driving to Texas instead of taking a plane because gas would be so fucking cheap and affordable.
I got a question for y'all, Charles. I'm gonna make it real uncomfortable for everybody right now with this question. Who was more politically black? Was it Obama or was it Hugo Chavez of Venezuela?
Hugo even said. Hugo. Got a little feedback. Hugo even said I'm black. He talked about his black.
That nigga had the balls enough to give Bush say that when after Bush left the podium at the UN, it smelled like sulfur. He had the balls to give Obama a book about black people throughout the American diaspora. When I say American, I mean North and South America, the continents. This dude was that dude, and he died of air quotes cancer. I'm just saying.
High fructose corn syrup. Oh,
hey, shout out to the CIA.
Oh my goodness.
No, Obama admitted that his ideology was more of a right-wing Republican. Even like Obamacare that people tout, all it was
Mitt Romney shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then he remixed it. And even though it was a right-wing policy from the Heritage organization, even the
Heritage
right-wingers
Foundation.
killed
Yep.
it because Obama, because it said they actually didn't. It was supposed to be called the Affordable Care Act, which it actually is called, but the Republicans tried to paint it in a negative light, which is not some grandiose thing. So that's why they threw it on Obamacare, but it was just Romney Care. Right-wing Republican plan that he adopted, like all of his policies. When actually, I can't remember who it was, but it was because so many brothers got slain and BLM started under Obama. When they was protesting in the streets in Ferguson, Obama went over there and was politicking with the police and was giving them more funds and more guns.
Hey, he called them boys in Baltimore thugs with Freddie Gray. Y'all forgot?
No.
Yeah, and
you gotta
need to
remember.
pull your pants up, and that's all he had to say.
You gotta remember, right, that Obama was not here for you. Obama was here to open up. He was put in office to open up the international waters back to America.
Yep.
They got Africa and other continents said, look, we ain't talking to that white man anymore. We're sick and tired. You put us through a fucking war that we didn't ask for. 2 at the same fucking time. He said, we done. So of course you got to get this charming black guy to smooth everything out. And then look at it. You damn near had a.
Well, first of all, Charles Walker, I take great offense that you would even.
Alexa, play Futures at the same damn time, and Sade's Smooth Operator for Charles, please.
But Mr. Namer, I like to say, you Ethiopians over there, you're some great people. Yeah, and you're Eritrea, Ethiopia. Oh, y'all are Savior people to me. Goddamn.
Well,
all black people.
Hold on a second. I gotta stop my grandfather here for a minute. First of all, Mr. Obama, we do like you very much, but we forget that you're not completely African American. You are African on one side. You're Kenyan people. And, you know, Kenya, we like Kenyan people, but we like Ugandans better. No, nothing personal, my friend.
You got to understand, we're only black and color only. But anyway.
Hysterical.
Oh, man.
What's up, Sad Dog?
Obama actually undermined black people too with his immigration policies. DACA, they wasn't caping for a lot of black immigrants, but they sure was flooding it with quote unquote Latino Hispanic immigrants. They fought harder for that immigration than anything pertaining to black.
The Democrats think that the Democrats either don't know or pretend like they don't understand that Latinos are a white aspiring group of people, and they also have conservative values, right? And so thinking that you're going to import Latinos and let's say 80%, 90% of them are going to vote left is just it's ignorant, because really the Latinos are split in like 60, maybe 65, 35, right? Or 60-40 split. So like that'll flip the election red. An election could definitely go red state on that one.
Yeah,
Hey, Captain Jack, you there with us?
Yo, what's going on, y'all, man? Shout out, Charles. Like I said, man,
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, and start pouring this spook coin in your chat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Y'all up here talking shit. Let me sell out in peace, right? There are those of us who have sold out in peace, but you know, again, all jokes aside, it's like it goes back to what BGS had said, a long time ago, man. Who educates, like I said, who educates your kids? So the thing is that what we have to realize is that certain things are going to be natural outcomes of integration. So at least to me, the way that I see African American history, or what I hear the rhetoric of some African Americans now and their dissatisfaction, again, this is just Sandog's take. Sandog's take was the mistake that the collective made was that we did not desire or push for our own state, right? So our own, like I said, our own free state. So John F. Kennedy gave a speech, right, about the American frontier, right? And so for us, the sacrifice of a life, that wasn't the obstacle. So when he mentions the pioneers, he said the pioneers gave up their safety and their comfort and even their lives to build our new West. And I think for us, despite what was ever happening in America, there was a level of safety and comfort that was a tad bit too high for us to desire and go venture out in other places, right? Be it Liberia or somewhere or somewhere in South America. So like these type of people that you're seeing, this is what the natural outcome is going to be. So remember, integration is a process, right? So when you're integrating people into society, how are they supposed to think? What's the outcome? So you have like how a lot of us talk in the manosphere, like how BGS and them say, like, Gen X black men are kind of like the last dudes that was like up there, like, I gotta marry a sister, I gotta do this. And then once you get the millennials and Gen Z, those dudes are gone, right? And that will be all what integration was supposed, that will be all that integration was supposed to do. So these people, at least from my perspective, right, since, we made the decision, to stay in America, right? To live in America. There are things that just come with being a part of this society. And so, again, I have a Gen Alpha daughter who, if she gets raised in America, who knows how she's going to think, right? Or like I said, or what she's going to believe without an adequate history lesson, because the way they see life and their reality to it is very different. And even in my own political party, right? So, again, when you get to Republicans, right, a lot of people don't understand that, the people that wanted to free the slaves in the Republican Party and the guys who wanted to the guys who wanted to crush the Confederacy, right? Everything about it, whatever remaining paraphernalia and all of that stuff, who wanted to keep troops in the South, those guys were radical Republicans, right? And so for me, and as I said, those guys will be on the radical side of the Republican Party. And the reason why I ended up learning about it is because, again, when I was a young kid, I'm 5-6 years old in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. PS 81 in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn is Thaddeus Stevens Elementary School. And Thaddeus Stevens was one of those radical Republicans. Right, and so he was one of those radical Republicans that had and you guys could look it up. There's a little brief on it on Wikipedia and everything else. And these guys had a real hardline stance against slavery, against racism, and their stance, and they had a tougher stance on. They had a tougher stance on what Reconstruction should have done versus what it actually did. So, so I don't know. So for a lot of guys that you talk to, I don't, there's a difference. So when you hear Republicans now claim some of the stances that they have with the African-American community, that was the radical side of the party, right? That those guys will be, I guess today, those guys will be a little bit more to the left than what many Republicans are now. Right.
The only thing the radical Republicans now are libertarians, and they only want they're only on some business shit. That's when they want to get radical. When it comes to business, they don't have any idea. They don't have no social I want to say social welfare, but in the context that people think of it in, that's not what I'm saying. But like, they don't have any idea of like being obligated to the state or like any of that shit. They don't. The Republicans don't do that shit no more. That's not what they are.
But that's So again, and that will be, and like I said, that will be a problem in my party. So even when I talk to guys in my party who are here, I would say it, man. What would be the purpose of the government? What would be the purpose of the state, right? Because if technically I'm on my own, then let me be on my own. Why do I have to file taxes every year, right? How come I just can't go out, find some piece of land, build the log cabin, and live my days out in peace? Without without government interference. So it's impossible to say that you want people to live under a particular system and not necessarily, and not necessarily look after them, right? And so you have all of these laws because at the end of the day, the state now is what shapes and animates a culture, right? We're living in a time where things are upside down. So many of you on the panel are young enough to remember when things like slang and culture came from the bottom up, right? So hip hop came from the streets in the bottom up and went mainstream. And now everything is turned upside down where corporations are creating culture, right? And you see it now where corporations are now fighting civil rights, right? Or having, like I said, or having civil rights arguments. And by law,
civil rights theater, they're definitely not fighting.
Yeah. And by law now, a corporation is an individual, right? So a corporation probably could sue you for discrimination or things of that nature. And it's something that I heard Charles say recently and just a couple of days ago. Look, at the end of the day, you're going to have to, and I know how Black people feel, but you're going to have to change the verbiage, like I said, of your discussion, right? So when you talk about, as time goes on, right, you're going to have to evolve with the conversation because you're going to have to change the verbiage probably from racism to classism. You're going to have to change it to outdated infrastructure. So, for example, when you talk about policing, right? So maybe what you want to do is compare policing in Norway or the United Kingdom, right, and other parts of the advanced world, and then say, okay, well, in America, we're behind so-and-so by 10 or 20 years. And, we need to change the way we do our prison systems because, in Europe or whatever the case might be, their crime is down because their prison systems actually rehabilitate instead of incubate. Right. So, you're going to have to start having different discussions because you have to remember, if racism is something that's institutional and structural, then one of the best ways to get rid of it is one is to become a part of the structure, and then two, have a hand in rebuilding the structure, because again, as you rebuild infrastructure, as you get smart cities in America and all this stuff and everything else, right, you're gonna have to address a lot of laws. You're gonna have to address education. You're gonna have to address law. You're gonna have to address law enforcement, right? So when you get to things like, okay, well, the schooling on this side is better because all the people with money live in that area, and the taxes that they pay on their houses, goes up to build this school or whatever the case might be. So now in the future, as infrastructure changes and you're smart, and we start to have smart cities and and distance learning and things of that because of COVID, you're gonna have to play chess. You're gonna have to play chess in that exact same way. Like I told you guys many times before. Again, you guys know I'm Republican. I was a Trump supporter. And one of the reasons why I was a Trump supporter, because Trump was like, hey, he's the kind of guy, hey, you do me a solid here, I'll do you a solid there, right? And so when Trump, I'll tell you this, when Trump got up and read African-American demographics, right, it didn't upset me. And then he stood there and opened up his arms and said, what? Vote for me. What do you have to lose? And I was like, you know what? He's right. I've got nothing to lose. But the thing about it, and what's funny is that his administration talked to Ice Cube before the election. Biden's administration said, we'll talk to you after the election. Right. And so one of the things that we have to remember, right, any battlefield commander worth his salt is a historian. And so what you have to remember is one of the main catalysts of our civil rights was the Cold War. Right. So again, so that it was the Cold War. Sandor couldn't be a combat arms officer before the Vietnam War. And so now I'm looking at it, right? I'm seeing history repeat itself. Donald Trump is somewhat of a Nixonish type character, right? And you got this trade war with China. And so again, so if we're smart, right, you don't use that old verbiage, man. You're like, yo, you know what? That's right. We're competing with China. China said they're going to make 5 million engineers a year, right? And then you get up there with that money and you get in where you fit in. And you're like, hey, it costs 70 grand a year to keep somebody in jail, but it costs $45,000 to make a mechanical engineer, right? So, hey, fiscal conservative, take your pick. Right? Look, 70 grand to keep somebody in prison, right? 45 or 50 grand to make a mechanical engineer, right? So how are we going to compete? How are we going to compete with China, right? How are we going to compete with China and keep America afloat with outdated institutions, right? And this is the way that you're going to have to talk and how you're going to have to engage the future, especially with the demographic shift that's coming, because the other people that are coming up in the demographic shift don't have the same history with you, right? Have quote unquote never done anything to you. So we're going to look. I know people got that feeling where you want to kick down the door, Public Enemy style, but that's not how it's going to work. Even white supremacy itself now uses soft power and intellectualism. Right? You know what I'm saying? Again, because I follow those guys, man, Jared Taylor and Stephen Malino, right? Oh my God, they're my personal favorites. I enjoy them, right? Because according to Stephen Malino, right, I am functionally retarded. I have an IQ of 70, right? And so I like I said again, I enjoy that bullshit rhetoric. I like hearing it. And so this is the thing. So we're going to have to stop thinking emotionally, and you're going to have to start thinking strategically and tactfully. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. You talk about thinking tactically. Oh shit, you cursing at black people, man.
You have to start, like I said, but you have to start thinking that way. And so at the end of the day, right? And so again, it's a change of verbiage is something that is very, like I said, these things are very powerful. So when you talk about, and I said it before, right? In business, we have something called change management. And one of the first thing you need for change management is you need buy-in, right? And so if you're talking about prison reform, for example, right? You might need to put in a few white guys in the mix, right? That's innocent in order to get the rest of American society to have buy-in, right? You're gonna have to do that, and then nowadays with the internet and everything else, right? You can show people different things and different outcomes, right? And so you can't have guys in my party or any party like, oh well, that's just this and that and that's just that, and you're like, well, fam, from what I see on YouTube, it looks pretty damn legit, right? You know what I'm saying? What I've seen, what I've seen since I visited. So, and this is how we have to, like I said, this is how we have to talk, right? So you could bash people in the heads, you could tax them, you could throw them in prison, but you can't build a modern airport. Make that make sense.
Jesus Christ. That is think about it, right? Racism has literally kept us from having a fucking bullet train.
Yes. Racism has costed America billions, like, so, and they're saying, like, even now, right, in the States, right, you got companies who want to hire people, but they're still overlooking people, right? Again, based on, like I said, based on this nonsense. So for me personally, again, I love my country, I fought for it, right? But I don't know what America wants to do or what its stance is, because at least for me, the way that we're going, I'm starting to draw the conclusion that our chance to get it right was missed, which was Reconstruction, right? And so I think, like I said, I believe if the federal government was treated Reconstruction the way they treated the war on terror, we might be in a very very different America now. I think, for me personally, I think that a lot of this stuff is too far gone, right? Especially the fact that you have presidents with these ideologies, right? So when you get to one of my personal favorites, Woodrow Wilson, right? Where they were talking about immigration of the Chinese, and what did Woodrow Wilson say? He said, we already have one race problem in America. We don't need another.
Yeah, all the presidents are racist, man.
Yeah, so that's that's my exact, like I said, that's my exact point, right? And so you're talking about a cancer now that's just not in some organ, man. It's in the bones, right? And what do you do when cancer has gone from your breast, your liver, your kidney, and now it's in the bone? What do you do? I don't think there's much you can do but hope to die painlessly if you can.
See, that's America's biggest problem. See, this country. See, y'all got to understand this country was built off free labor, man. It was always built off free labor. Just like,
what, Darren, I want to say this.
Hold on. Let me say this. Let me say this. Just like Wall Street was established with the slaves. They literally made our ancestors stocks and bonds. Did y'all know that? That's how Wall Street got started and everything. And then after that they moved to cotton because cotton was the biggest export in that time. And when they was trading with other countries and stuff, that was the biggest cash cow, so to speak, to bring in money for America. Then they moved to tobacco, and then they moved to bigger stuff. But see, all these presidents work for the elite families that run the world. The Waltons, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. The presidents work for them. They don't work for them. They don't work for the people of America. Okay, what they do is they go to these white Ivy League schools and they debate against each other, and they practice debate against each other in these white Ivy League schools like Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Seton Hall, schools like them, and they practice debating on how to financially oppress black people. Okay, that's why you got all these foreign gas station people like the Arabs or their own gas stations, and these Chinese people that own all the beauty supplies, and you got them running convenience stores on every corner in black neighborhoods. They not in the white neighborhoods, they in the black neighborhoods. They ciphering money from black people. Okay, and all this is by design. See?
Rodarius, I want to ask you a quick question, man, and
Go ahead.
I really appreciate that thought. So you know how you get guys who are drug dealers, right? And I'm making my 10 grand a week or whatever it is. Okay, I get caught and I get locked up, right? I'm not gonna get out of jail and be satisfied at McDonald's. It ain't going. It's not that's not going to work. So, do you think that America has the same problem? This drug money, this cotton money was good to me, right? How do I go? How do I go from making billions of dollars in seconds, right, to now having to do it slowly over 10 years, 15 years, et cetera? So, do you think America has the same problem as an ex-drug dealer who's still addicted to the speed of the game?
Well, my both of my older brothers sold drugs, and they told me that it's worse than working at McDonald's. So they was in and out of prison. I'm the only one that pretty much stayed in the books, and I always read, and I stayed out of prison. All praise to God. But yeah, they told me to stay out of prison, and that's exactly what I did. But they told me, they know about that. They know about the game, and then they told me that they don't make no money. You might as well flipping. You might as well do. You might as well be flipping burgers in McDonald's or Burger King rather than me be a drug dealer, because it's not profitable for real, for real. So with that being said, it's just we just caught in between the rock and the hard place and everything. Just like the podcast like a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, where I said that this is a matrix. See, the black man is nothing but batteries for America, man. See, we just like I was telling my daughter not too long ago. See, y'all wasn't out there when we was laying the bricks. Y'all wasn't out there when we was smoothing out that cement or doing the carpentry work. When I was laying bricks for Marvin Peoples Masonry in St. Louis, Missouri, I only saw one sister out there, and she was an electrician. She didn't do no work. She pretty much walked around and looked pretty. See, we the builders. We built America. See, our black men are the architects and the inventors of America. See, our ancestors did the legwork. Our ancestors, the men, did all the blood, sweat, and tears that built this country, man. And everything, and just like I keep explaining to people, that $50 billion that Joe Biden sent over to Ukraine, guess where that came from? That came from black tax dollars. See, we spend $1.2 trillion every year without fail, man. Every year, 1.2 trillion. I ain't say billion, I ain't say million, trillion, 1.2 trillion. Do you know how many zeros that is? That's 12 zeros. Okay. And we spend that every single year. See, and guess what? Those dollars are taxed. So you bet your ass that most of that money is everybody's tax dollars on this panel, and then some. And just like I was saying earlier when I was typing in, You know, saying we not even protected, and we spend the most money in this country. That's atrocious, man.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying, Rodarian, I'm talking about, so even in the planter class, right? Not everybody was at the top. So I'm talking about, so for dudes in the drug game that's doing well, right? It's very hard to lock those guys up and to let them, when you get addicted, when you get addicted to making large sums of money quickly, that's a large ask for you to turn around from the habits that you developed. That's a big, like, you know, I'm talking about on a human scale. That is a huge, you know what I'm saying? That's a huge ask.
Well, I never sold drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I'm not saying you are. Because for me, I grew up in Brooklyn during the crack era, and shout out to St. Louis. I went through your city on a Greyhound bus on my way back to university when I was a kid, and I want no parts of it. Zero. You know what I'm saying? Whatever smoke that's coming out of St. Louis, Sand Dog is in a non-smoking section. I want zero. And one of my closest my college roommate and one of my college roommates and my tight man and my frat brother and my room dog is from your city. And he used to invite me to come visit, and I'm like, nah, fam, I'm good. And all caps.
Yeah, you definitely need somebody that you know when you come to St. Louis, man. That's why I left, man. I live in Seattle, Washington now. I ain't want to be buried in no box, and I ain't want to go to prison, so that's why I left.
Do you understand me? If negative zero was a number, that's how much smoke I want from St. Louis.
Yeah, that's why I left, man. And I was there for 30 plus years, man.
Anybody who made it out of there, man, I give you, I'm saying from the bottom of my heart, I give you credit.
Yeah, man, that was my nephew, man. Mike Brown, that was my nephew, man.
Yeah, really?
Oh, yeah, that was my nephew, man.
Yeah, man. St. Louis is a trap. And all and all capital letters. It's a trap. I knew it was over for y'all when the Rams left.
Yeah. They ain't want to leave either, but you know, Georgia, she died, and then somebody else took over. So we ain't had no type of power. We didn't want them to leave neither. They ain't want to leave, but the new owners wanted to take them back to LA. So you know, I was rooting for them. I wanted them to win, but see, the reason why I'm gonna tell you why the Rams won and they beat the Bengals is because the Rams colors are the same colors as Ukraine colors, and they were supporting Ukraine. That's why the Rams really won. See, that's why they won. Yeah. But I mean, but I ain't saying that they no good team. Don't get me wrong, but the real reason why the Rams won is because they want to support the Ukraine. That's the reason why they won.
All right.
Really?
Yo, if I can get in where I can fit in.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, Sandor, to like that question you asked about this whole thing about instant money. Look at it this way. Most people don't have that attention span or the patience nowadays to take the slow road route, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? So I don't think so. It's so everything is instant. I mean, look at the need with social media or with certain things. It's or like take gambling, for example. It's that rush. It's that thrill. I mean, there's been like I'm in research where they use like a certain people in Africa. I think it's somewhere in Kenya. They studied the people who still, this group of people, those who adhered to the traditional life that involved hunting and whatnot, and those who became urbanized. And they noticed that the ones who were urbanized, they still had the traits of their traditional brethren, but it manifested in a very negative way. It looked like they had the traits of attention deficiency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that for a lot of folks. They can't give it up that easily. I mean, there's always something you got to give up. Oh, go ahead.
No, but you know it's funny. Like even when it comes to Africa, because you know my wife's family is Nigerian, and I was telling my African relatives and many of my African friends, again, with the exception of Ethiopia, right, because it wasn't colonized, many African countries,
never would.
Yeah, many African countries, you're going to have to destroy those countries and start from scratch. And yes, it's going to cause chaos, and you might lose a lot. But the reason why you have to start from scratch, and the reason why so many Africans suffer under corrupt governments, is because there's an observation that you guys are missing, and it's that in Africa and other parts of the world, but let's say mainly Africa, your countries were corporations before they, your countries are, so if you're in Nigeria, right, again, Nigeria never existed, right? The British or the Royal Niger Company put that together, right? The British India Company or the Dutch India Company or whatever put that together. And so it was a way for the crown, the dukes, the lords, I don't know, some of their vassals with record deals or whatever they had, right? That was a way for them to make money. So now when you quote and unquote get your so-called independence, and then you get people that look independence, and you get people that look like you that walk into these that end up walking into these positions of power, right? Guess what? So if the politicians of Nigeria are stealing money, that means that Nigeria was doing what it was always built to do, which is to siphon resources out of Nigeria, right? South Africa is doing what South Africa was built to do, right? Mali is doing what Mali is built to do, which is to siphon resources out. So I think for Africans, if you, in terms of colonialism, and again, shout out to Patrice Lumumba and guys like him, right? Because the dudes who really wanted to change the systems and get out of Western banking systems or whatever, they killed those guys, right? And, yeah, they killed them. And like I said, Patrice Lumumba was damn, because he was out of the Congo, right? And that's a cash cow.
No
right?
argument here. No argument here.
You get what I'm saying? So what would have to happen is what your nations as they exist now, you would have to destroy that shit and bring up a system that is compatible with your culture, right? So again, where I live here, man, shout out to us, man. Yo, they run, the GCC, the Gulf Cooperative Countries, they run their countries in a way that's consistent with their culture, which is why they're successful.
Now, when you say destroy, you mean what you mean when you say destroy Africa?
What I mean by destroy,
you talking about physically?
Yeah, you would have to dump these systems, man, and start. And like I said, that's what I said. It'll be very painful, but you would have to dump these systems and have something different. Right. Again, easier said than done, right? Like Aesop's fables, right? Who's going to put the bell on the cat? But the thing is that, again, the Jamaica, Barbados, these countries were corporations, right? They're corporations. So again, at the end of the day, right? If I remove Jeff Bezos tomorrow and put Sanddog and put Sanddog over Amazon, Amazon is going to keep doing what Amazon does. Right? Just because you put Sanddog in the front of Amazon doesn't mean that it's all good. Like what you just said with
hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
It's an overhaul you need to do. You have to do a complete overhaul in the structure of the system. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Like take Ethiopia right now. The ruling party right there. What would you say if I told you it is the same party that's been ruling the country since '91?
Wow.
You know how? Because the current prime minister, you know what he did?
What did he do?
The government original, because he's been part of that. He's part of that whole thing. But when he came to power, a lot of people thought he was young and dynamic. No, this is a Judas Goat of sorts. And what I mean is, like, he is part of that. He has been part of that system all along. All he did was restructure and rebrand it, because what it used to be was a 4-party coalition that had several other parties as allies in the parliament. What he did, and this is in December of 2019, a year and a half after he came to power, he decided to have all these parties merge into one, and they called themselves the Prosperity Party. Now, one of those parties, the TPLF, wanted nothing to do with it. They left the coalition, and that's the same people they're right now going to war with right now, up in the north, because they didn't want any part of that, because they understood what it was. But like you said, even if you replace the leadership, it's nearly nothing more than a whitewashing. If they put you in it, it'd be more like a blackwashing. No offense, but like I said, it's just a whitewashing. They put a new person. It's just a veneer. You just rebranding, restructuring, but it's business as usual.
Yeah, it's business as usual, and that's what it is. So you would have to. So if you wanted a free Africa, Jamaica, or anywhere else, man, you would actually have to overhaul your entire system and create something that will be very different than what's in place. And just like what you said, it was nothing more than a rebranding. So the Queen leaves Jamaica,
rebranding,
right? Yeah, you take down the British flag, you put up the Jamaican flag, you put up that black guy with Bob Marley in the background, right? You got, so where there was once italic writing, there's now standard Midwestern or Times New Roman on the font, and that's all you did. But it's the same thing, right? The LA Clippers are still the LA Clippers.
Until they move back to San Diego.
Yeah.
Remember, they moved to San Diego. They moved from San Diego to LA in the early 80s because of one Donald Sterling.
Yeah. So that's the point. So like I said, so again, that's the point. That's the point that like I said, that's the point that I'm making, right? So when you look, and the reason why I was talking about, it was a miscalculation to not desire your own state, because you guys heard me say it 1,000 times before, right? When I lived under my dad's house, it was my dad's rules, and my father told me, if you want to do what you want to do, you got to get your own shit, right? And
Absolutely.
I said, okay. And I said, okay, Pop, say less. And that's exactly what I went out into the world and did, right? So this, I like I said, I truly believe, and like I said, I truly believe, especially for those of us in the Western Hemisphere, right? Again, that was the miscalculation. And then for those of you that are in Africa and other parts of the world, you would need a complete overhaul. Because look at it, right? The French left Mali a long time ago, but they're still taking money out of there. How was that? That's what I'm trying to say. How was that possible if they're not somehow still tied to them logistically, financially, infrastructure-wise? Right?
It's not just Mali. It's not just Mali. If you look at the whole region around Mali, Burkina Faso to extent, Niger, what else? Mauritania. What are the other countries in there? Togo. Cameroon originally was a German colony, but three areas of it came under British rule. The rest came under France afterwards. What else? Senegal, everybody. So yeah. Oh, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, everybody. They control their currencies. That's one of the ways to control them. Also, Niger. Niger, their biggest export, I believe, is I think it's phosphate or something, because they have to transport it by train from deep within the Sahara. They have to take it by train through, I think, Mali, a few other countries. Try to get it to like Senegal, or maybe head south to Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. Where they can transport it on ships and shit.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. But this is, again, this is what I'm trying to say, right? So you have, and so this is, so And on top of that, so this is how, because remember, for war you always get propaganda, right? So if you're going to exploit Africa, you have to separate them. You have to separate Africans or black people in general from high civilization, right? Because then, like I said, then that humanizes them, right? So you're not gonna learn things like, when some of the Europeans first showed up in West Africa and they found the Benin Dahomey Kingdom, and they interacted with the Ashantis and the Ife, which are now Yoruba, they thought that they discovered what was left of Atlantis, right? When they, like I said, when they went there. So you're not gonna learn these things, because at the end of the day, right? Racism is one of the pillars of the capitalist nation state, right? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist without it, right? So again, why do you think King George, in a sense, George II was as relaxed as he was? Because he probably did not think that the colonists was going to make the money that they were going to make for slavery. Because if not, they would have ran out of money and they would have came back to Britain, with their tail between their legs. Right? So, to some extent, this is what George, this is what George probably thought would eventually happen. So again, you have to remember, right? And shout out to the nameless protagonist, because he brought this observation. In our discussion, is that what you have to understand is that America itself, Africa, and many other parts of the world were corporations before they were states, cultures, and the people. Right? True. So that you have to, like I said, you really have to take that to account. So the whole concept of becoming white is a business decision. Right? That's a business decision. That's not a cultural decision. So a lot of America's early decisions, right, were corporate decisions, not decisions of, or not necessarily the way that what am I trying to say? It's not necessarily in the way that Saudi Arabia, India, and all these other places could evolve, right? Because remember, like China, right? China is not just a culture; it's a civilization, right? China is a school of thought, which is why they got people in concentration camps and everything else, because they want you to think, breathe, live, and eat Chinese.
Mandarin, exact.
Huh? Yeah. So
Mandarin, not Cantonese.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, so with America, right? It's very, again, it's difficult. It's difficult. So because America never dealt with racism in the way that it should have been dealt with, it has now devolved into all of these ideological splits, right? So now there's not a unified school of American thought, where in other parts of the world, especially China, right, they have a more unified school of thought. You know what I'm saying? I get what
you're saying.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a shut up. I'm gonna go about my day. Charles, I'm gonna go out here and make some more spook coin for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Sand Dog, I got a question for you actually.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go sell out so I can mine. So when you hear me cooning, just say, hey, he out there mining spook coin.
Spook coin, baby.
Yo. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Sand Dog, hold on. Sand Dog. Hold on. Got a couple questions for you, man. A couple questions for you. Because earlier we were talking about Viola Davis had this new movie coming out about the home and everything. Now you say your wife's Nigerian, right? What exactly?
Yes. My wife is your.
Where's she from?
She's not from Dahomey. No.
Oh.
No, she's not.
She's not. What is she?
She wouldn't be. She's Yoruba. She's not. She's not from. She's not from Benin. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, she's Yoruba. Okay, because what I thought was, because we were talking about the homie thing, there was a movie I remember that came out about a Nigerian queen, Amina Azazo, for the Hausa.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to pick that up as well. Or if they talk about, like, another example would be like Queen Nzinga Mbande of Angola and such. Because it talks about, because we're talking about how black people are the woman king.
Yeah.
We were like kind of critiquing that earlier. I wonder if you were familiar. I wonder if you heard that.
Yeah. Well, again, this happened. This happened in history, right? But at the end of what you will never see is you may never see a remake of Shaka Zulu, right? Because
Angry said the same thing on the show.
That is too fucking dangerous to remake. To remake Shaka Zulu, because again, at the end of the day, right, women do not pose the same threat or societies to men. So if you were to see the African kings that fought the colonialists, right? So for example, Shaka Zulu, and I brought this up before on another stream that I was in, and when I watched that Shaka Zulu movie when I was a boy, it blew my mind wide open. Right, so the British come to Shaka Zulu. Well, no, Shaka Zulu is recovering from a wound, and the British guy has a Bible, and he said, "What's this book?" He said, "It's our religion, the Bible. It's about our Lord, Jesus Christ." And Shaka Zulu replies, "I'm your Lord," right? And Shaka Zulu said, "Okay, tell me more about this Jesus. He was born of a virgin birth, and his birth was prophesied. So was mine."
Well, that wasn't really his name. His name was Yahweh Shai. It's really that was his name.
Yahweh your chef.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in this conversation, right?
Oh, okay.
And so in this conversation that he had with the British, he said, Shaka Zulu said, he said, "Who is the Jesus?" He says, "I'm your Lord." Shaka Zulu said, "I'm your Lord." He said, well, the British guy goes, well, his birth was prophesied. Shaka said, so was mine. He was born of a virgin and he died or was resurrected. So was I. And he said, where is Jesus now? In heaven. He said, no, because the heavens belong to Zulu. And then Shaka pauses and goes, why am I talking to you? Bring me your Jesus so two gods can talk face to face. So do you really, and what's dope about Shaka Zulu in this sense, because remember, Shaka Zulu, before he took the throne, right, because his mom was a side piece to the king, right? And the king had rejected Shaka Zulu, right? The king had rejected Shaka Zulu until he had a stepfather, he was raised, he became an adult, took the throne from his brother, and once Shaka became a man, like his father took interest in him, right? And he says, and he says something to the point of, now that the young ram is now a bull, now you take interest, right? So there's a lot about Shaka Zulu where a lot of men now or young men now would look at that and go, oh shit, I could be that. And then that in and of itself is a problem. So probably starting with the Black Panther and all this stuff, and and everything else they'll do it, but you're not going to see a Shaka Zulu. You're not going to see a Mansa Musa. You're not going to see a Narmer. You're not going to see a Pharaoh Tarhaka or a Shabaka. You're not going to see it, right? You're not going to see a King Monomatapa film. Cut it up. It ain't. It's not happening.
Definitely not Menelik II. Battle of Ottawa against the British.
You're not going to get a Haile Selassie. It ain't. Hang it up. Hang it up, because I would be shocked.
You're not going to get Bahar Nagas Isaac. You're not going to talk about Ahmed El-Ghazi. If people don't know who that name is, he was known as Ahmed the Left-Handed. He was a usurper for the Sultan of Adal, which is in northern Somalia. They had a war. You ever heard the Abyssinian Adal War?
Yes.
War between Abyssinia and Adal. The first Ethiopian Somali War.
Yeah.
1529 to 1543.
Yeah, so you're not gonna watch. You're not gonna get to see the Ethiopians beat the Italians. It ain't happening. You're not gonna. You're not.
I'll give you an example, Sandman. I'll give you an example of one movie. It's called Best of Enemies. It's about it's a comedic film from the 60s. It talks about the antagonism between a British officer, a British colonel, and an Italian captain, who have to work, and their troops have to work together to get out of Ethiopia, and they're trapped in the western part of Ethiopia.
No,
it's called Best of Enemies. It's a comedy. I saw it, but the way they presented the native troops, who were mostly Somalis and Ethiopians, it was like, yeah, they were putting them in a negative light. But what really mocked them was like when they had like these three manservants for the Italians.
Yeah.
And I understood exactly the words they were saying because they were speaking in my native language. But the way they mocked them was like ridiculous because I was like, first of all, they're speaking in Tigrinya, but they sound like Tigrayans. I'm like,
no.
Damn.
And that's another thing too, because one of the things that you have to, and I'll say this and I'll go. So one of the things that you would have to know, like about, again, like black men. Like I was talking to a friend of mine from Sri Lanka, and he was like, but the British had guns. I'm like, a musket rifle shoots a round, one round, I think every, I don't know, a minute or every 2 to 3 minutes. Is very slow, right? So you could know where somebody is and you can maneuver around them. And I was like, look at Shaka Zulu, and I will tell you this, right? So the same way for the United States and our army, how we have so much stuff named after Native American tribes who handed us an ass whooping. Guess what? Till this day, the British Army worships the ground the Zulus walk on. Right?
Have you seen the movie Zulu?
Because they remember that ass whooping, man. They still remember that ass whooping. So till today, till this very day, they still worship it. Yeah. So that's it. So man. So I gotta bounce, man, and then I'll get up with y'all later on, man.
All right, peace, man.
Oh, but Dan Dog, happy Eid al-Adha as well, because I just started this already.
It. Yeah, man. Eid Mubarak.
Yeah, y'all have a good one. Allahumma.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to end the stream, folks. It was a fire stream. Have to get some rest.
Fire stream.
Oh, this was volcanic. It was hot. Thank you all for making this a hot stream. Thank you for all the panelists. And woo! Good morning, good afternoon, good night.